Hi, I'm Bon Appétit Executive Chef Mary Nolan, and I'm going to show you how to do some healthy meal preps that you have lots of lean protein and vegetables ready to go, along with some delicious sauces so you can put meals together in a snap. So I'm going to start with some chicken breast. I'm just going to make a simple sauce to roast this in and really add some flavor. So I'm going to use some smoked paprika and a little bit of olive oil, which is a healthy fat. About 2 tablespoons is good. A little bit of pepper, tablespoon of smoked paprika. I have my oven preheating at 350, ready to go. And I have a piece of foil that I'm just going to line my baking sheet with. And then I'm just going to brush both sides of it. And with something really lean, like a chicken breast, olive oil is really a great oil to use on that. So this is just gonna go into the oven and bake for about 25 minutes. Now I'm gonna be doing some salmon. It's full of those heart healthy omega-3s and all of that good fat. And we're just gonna bump up the flavor with, again, some olive oil, a little pinch of salt, and then lemon and garlic. I like to use a microplane. It makes the garlic nice and fine. We're also gonna be doing some asparagus, which is also full of fiber and all kinds of things that are good for your body and go really well with salmon. A little bit of pepper. So for the lemon, I'm gonna slice a few thin slices of lemon to go on top of the salmon as it roasts. And then I'm also going to be juicing the other half. So I'll set those there. Lemon juice. All right, so I'm going to do my salmon skin side down. Do a little bit of my lemon and garlic over the top, reserving some for my asparagus. I'm going to put my lemon slices on top. And when I'm working with asparagus, I always like to cut off the woody bottoms. They're a little tough. It's where it goes from lighter to a little bit darker, so I'm going to cut that off. Just discard that. It's gonna cook evenly if you do it in a single layer. And then drizzling that reserved olive oil, garlic, and lemon juice over the top. You can move it around a little bit so it evenly coats. And then I'm gonna pop that into the oven with my chicken. Moving on to some sides to go with those proteins that we have working in the oven. I'm gonna do some brown rice. I love brown rice. It's full of fiber. One of my favorite preparations is to cook a little bit of garlic in it. Here is 1 3/4 cups water. I'm gonna add a little pinch of salt. When you add it while it's cooking, it helps get into the grains of the rice. And my clove of garlic. I'm actually gonna get this cooking over here so that I can start on my broccolini. For my broccolini, I'm gonna get a little bit of olive oil heating, and I'm gonna add more garlic. Broccolini is really one of my favorite vegetables. You don't need to add very much to it to really make it taste delicious. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of red pepper flake and some lemon and garlic, of course. I can smell my olive oil and I can see it doing just a little shimmer, so I know it's time to add that garlic. So I have a couple cloves here that have been chopped. I'm just gonna stir it around to coat up in that oil, along with a good pinch of red pepper flake. It is already smelling good in here. So that garlic has had a chance to soften a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and add my broccolini. And I just wanna stir it around and coat it with that oil. I'm gonna add just a little bit of water, and what this does is it helps the cooking process by steaming it a little bit. I'm also gonna add a little bit of pepper, a sprinkle of salt. So I'm going to use my lemon 2 ways to season the broccolini. I'm going to use the zest and the juice. The broccolini's had a chance to cook for a few minutes. You want it to be somewhat tender but still crisp to the bite. So I'm going to go ahead and finish it with my lemon juice and my lemon zest. And then I'm just going to let it cool in the pan. Next, I'm going to be making a summer succotash. This is such a good way to use vegetables, all kinds of things from your garden that are really good for you and are going to taste great with that salmon, chicken, your brown rice. You're going to be all set for a number of different meals. So I'm going to get started with a shallot. You just want to have a flat surface to work with. Just give it a rough chop. All right, so we're gonna heat up some olive oil, just enough to get the shallot sweating, as we say. Go ahead and get that going. We just want this to start to soften up and become translucent. To my shallot, I'm gonna add a little bit of garlic. It's also really good for you. And then I have 2 ears of corn that have been cut off the cob. It's so nice and sweet. It's a really nice contrast to everything. And next I have English peas. You can use frozen in a pinch. They certainly taste just as good. Now that the corn and the peas have had a chance to cook a little bit, I'm going to add the tomatoes. These are fresh, halved cherry tomatoes. I love the color. I love the flavor. I'm going to season it with a little bit of salt and pepper. And I'm going to stir just until those tomatoes start to soften. All right, now I'm just gonna add a little bit of chives. Then I'm gonna turn it off and just let it cool. I'm ready to get my protein out of the oven and assemble some of my sauces. This looks so good. And I mentioned that I put that garlic clove in there to infuse a little bit of flavor, so it's nice and soft now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mash it with a little fork, and then I'm gonna fluff and mix all of that yummy garlic flavor in with my brown rice, which is gonna be a base to so many delicious meals for me this week. And now I'm gonna make my sauces to put this all together. So the first sauce I'm gonna make is a tahini sauce. It has that really yummy, creamy deliciousness that comes from tahini, which is sesame seed paste. And this one is so easy. You just need a jar to shake it all up. Depending on how thick yours is, you can always use a little water to thin it. Okay, so I have that in my jar. I'm gonna grate a garlic clove, again using my microplane, which gets it the perfect consistency to just meld right into my dressing. A little bit of salt and pepper. A little squeeze of lemon, and then a tablespoon of olive oil. And then I think my tahini is pretty thick, so I am going to add a little splash of water. I can always add more, but just a little bit. And then you want to put your lid on nice and tight and shake it. Looks great. And I'm going to give it a taste to see if it needs any more salt and pepper. It's so good. I think it's perfect just the way it is. Now I'm going to be working on a pesto, and this one is great. It starts with basil, which is a traditional pesto, and some walnuts, and that's where it's a little different. Traditional pesto is made with pine nuts, but walnuts are so good for you. Full of good fats. I'm gonna go ahead and put those in the bottom so that they really grind down with my basil. These are big, beautiful basil leaves. I'm gonna add some garlic. I'm gonna add some red wine vinegar. All right, so I'm gonna grind it a little bit before I add some of my olive oil. Looks good. The next pesto that I'm going to make is another riff on the traditional basil pesto, this time with parsley and mint, which are two of my favorite herbs. And this one is going to be using almonds. So I'm going to go ahead and put the almonds in first, along with some garlic. And then these beautiful picked mint leaves, you just want to take out those woody stems, and then some parsley. I'm going to do about equal parts. Pinch of red pepper flake. I love that little bit of spiciness that gives. Pinch of salt, some fresh black pepper, and then this time some lemon for that acidity. I'm also going to use the zest. I love the mint in there. It's so nice, and it's going to be great with both the chicken and the salmon. My food's had a chance to cool, so now I'm just going to package everything up so that it's ready to go when I want to put together my healthy meals. So I'm going to start this one with some of my brown rice. I'm going to use about a third of it, and I'm going to mix it with some of that basil pesto. And to have it be healthy, I always think you want to aim for about a quarter of your plate to be your starch, a quarter of your plate to be your healthy protein. So in this case, it's gonna be our salmon. And then you want half your plate to be veggies. I said 50% veggies, right? So I'm gonna use about half of my asparagus. And I'm just gonna garnish it with a little chiffonata basil. That's just a fancy word for some chopped basil. There you go. Next up is my succotash with some of that salmon. Scoop of the succotash. So I'm gonna add a little bit of arugula and then that salmon. And this time I'm gonna use the other pesto, the mint pesto that we made. It goes really well with these flavors. Also gonna do a little drizzle of olive oil over that arugula, a little bit of chopped almonds, and just a little parsley for garnish. There you go. Now I'm gonna be making a little salad with some of my asparagus, and I'm gonna be tossing it with a little arugula. Just think about a bite-sized piece. I'm gonna put them here in this bowl. Little drizzle of olive oil. So I'm gonna use a little bit of this on top of my chicken and with my vegetables. You can always add a little bit more asparagus on the side if you really want to up your veggie game. I think I might do a couple spears here. And then I'm going to do chicken breast on top of this. A little bit of that creamy dressing. I'm going to add some of my broccolini with that little bit of red pepper flake. And then I'm going to add a little bit of chopped walnut on top to really round it out. That looks so good. The next combination that I'm going to be doing is brown rice with some of that succotash. I really love how versatile all of these combinations are. So I'm going to mix this together with a little more arugula and a good dollop of pesto. I just want to toss this to combine. And then I'm going to top it with some chicken breast and more of those crushed walnuts. Last up, I'm doing a vegetarian dish here with my succotash, more of that brown rice with a little bit of arugula, a little drizzle of olive oil to kind of bind it together. And then to that, I'm going to add some asparagus and more of that delicious broccolini, that little bit of kick and spice, and the tahini sauce, again made with that delicious sesame paste, lots of lemon, so nice and also delicious. So now you can see how easy it is to prep in advance, put it in the refrigerator, and then put meals together that are colorful, healthy, and delicious in no time.